IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy, actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today's fun fact of the day has to do with the weather. Did you know that there are about 2,000 thunderstorms raining down across the earth every minute? Storms are some of the most powerful phenomenon on earth. Each can hit land with the intensity of an atomic bomb. They travel over the sea, gaining momentum, and hit land with such force that they cause devastation. Boom! And while researching for this podcast, I came across some scary stories about storms. And I also realized that we just don't know too much about them. There are dust storms, there are hail storms, and there are even blood storms. Once in India, it rained blood red, which obviously scared everybody around. But luckily, the red blood was just from algae, so nothing too serious. In other parts of the world, it has even rained fish and frogs. The hot updraft would pick up these unsuspecting creatures into the air and drop them on land. But luckily, this is a rare phenomenon. Something even rarer is what is called the perfect storm. This is when the warm air from a low pressure system comes from one direction. A flow of cool and dry air generated by the high pressure comes from another direction. And finally, tropical moisture generated by a hurricane is added to the mix. These three things coming together. Now, one of them happening is still fairly serious, fairly devastating. But the fact is that all of these three things happen together, and which is why it is called the perfect storm. Because these three things happening at the same time are so rare. But the scary thing is that they are all capable of causing a storm by themselves. It is this combination that makes this storm deadly. And this expression, a perfect storm, has now been used in everyday lexicon. It means an event in which a rare combination of circumstances drastically aggravate that event. The chances are you could have dealt with each of these circumstances by yourself. But now, no problem. You are tough enough and strong enough for that. However, now that they've all happened at the same time, you lose it. You're no longer in control of your emotions. Fear or anger or grief sets in. Very often, it is different things that cause different feelings, all happening at the same time. Worse off is there is confusion. You do not know which aspects you should be fighting first, what decisions you should be making, and what to do next. A feeling of overwhelm fills you and you start losing control. You are now a victim of the circumstances. Perfect. And as I write this podcast, I am in the middle of a perfect storm in my life. 4 things that I could have easily handled one at a time have all decided to show up together. I went through all the emotions: grief, anger, pain, panic. I felt empty inside and wanted to reach for something to eat to fill that gap. The worse that thing was, the better. And I'm sharing this with you because as your habit coach, I want to show you that I too go through these things. None of us is perfect. And people often ask me, are you always this happy and composed? The truth is that sometimes life will beat you down. But what you do next is all that matters. And just like a ship, we have to first do everything we can to make sure that we do not sink. We take care of ourselves first. We do not try to resolve the storm or fix the environment because that is impossible and that will just frustrate you even more. Can you imagine you're on a little sailing boat trying to tell the storm to go away? That's impossible. All you can do is take care of your ship and make sure that nothing happens to it. The best way of doing this as a person is to ground yourself in your daily routine. Today, when the perfect storm hit me, it was about 8 a.m. Till about 9:30, I was frantic, panicking and grieving. All these 3 things. Then I put on the geyser, I shaved my stubble, I had a bath, I came out and I meditated. After that, I wrote in my gratitude journal. Instead of doing something self-destructive, like finishing off a whole slab of chocolate to just try and make myself feel better or eating a cake, I pulled back into my fundamental routines. I composed myself and started working on this podcast. I got busy. And if I had just sat around worried, I would be panicking even more. Then, just as a ship, you let the storm pass. Do not try doing things out of the ordinary or something big. Allow yourself to recover. If this day did not go as planned, it is okay. Show that compassion, knowing that tomorrow will be better. In this way, slowly we recover and improve. The next day, when the weather is favorable, again set sail. So remember to ride out the perfect storm. The days in your life when nothing seems to be going right, when everything is attacking you at the same time. Pause. Go back to your default habits. Ground yourself in them. These default habits make you feel secure and that things are normal, even though everything around you is falling apart. Then you slowly keep yourself occupied by doing something interesting. If you don't, the negative thoughts will start festering. In this way, you just wait for the storm to pass. Wait for a good day to come so that you can set sail again. This may take a few hours. It may take a full day. It may even take a few days. But take care of yourself first. Only then venture out. So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. Some really fun guests on the network this week. Cyrus welcomed Dia Mirza to come and have a conversation about all kinds of different things. Danny Morrison was on Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast. If you haven't heard that, that's always a fun listen. And Rahul Subramanian was on Football Should Fall to grow their ever more exciting list of guests. And it's not just that. Mantra Mugh, the old friend of ours, was on Advertising is Dead. Manu Pillai was on the Filter Coffee podcast. It's been one great guest after the other. And with that, we hope to catch you again next week.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives, and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Story Sellers for personal stories, analysis, and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.